Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this week's webinar from Anika Digital. It's myself, Anne Stanley, and James Allen. So,
hello,
morning, everybody. So, if you haven't met me before, I'm the founder and CTO of Anika, and I'm also responsible for heading up the AI team that's been working very hard over the last year to develop lots of new services and new technology and new products, some of which we're going to show you today. And James is, James, you're in the intersection of SEO and AI, aren't you? So you've worked in SEO for a long time.
Worked in SEO for over 15 years. I'm also a search engine land author as well, which if you've been researching SEO and, learning how to do various different things in SEO, probably a lot of articles from search engine land come up. I'm not the only author, but I am one of them. Also, I have a GA4 certificate and know a little bit about analytics, and also I'm on the AI team as well, so I do a bunch of different things. So
yeah, and because you in a way you started some of our AI automation journey off 2.5 years ago when you created Mammoth Mark 1 with Python and APIs and all sorts of things.
And spreadsheets. It was a combination of Python and spreadsheets and OpenAI's API all kind of jammed together,
It's moved on along a lot since then. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do a quick 2 polls. So I'm going to start with the first one. You are hopefully able to multi-choice. So what we want to know really to start with is, I'll put it on the big screen. Are you responsible for SEO, website management, or content creation? Because we want to know what sort of jobs you're doing. So the first one is no, I'm not involved in SEO. Yes, I create content, blogs, etc. Yes, I'm responsible for tech SEO. Yes, I'm responsible for link building. Yes, I'm responsible for UX and CRO. And yes, I'm responsible for multiple aspects of managing our website. So you can tick multiple ones there. Creating content, it could also be things like product description if you've got an e-commerce website. So anything that involves creating content, that would be great. And as we expected, that would be the most popular. But interestingly, tech SEO is coming out really high as well. So, look at this. 31% are doing a bit of everything. So we've got a lot of multitaskers here. So a very, very few of you are not involved, which I guess is inevitable because you're coming here because we're going to be talking about this. So about a third, just under a third, are responsible for multiple aspects. A similar number are creating content, and then as we've got the numbers are going up a little bit. So tech SEO and CRO is about 15%. So brilliant. That's good. That gives us an idea of the audience. So I'm going to close that poll. And the second poll is very simple. It's a yes/no one. And that is, have you used, is it showing?
It's still on the first one, I think. I'm just going to close the first one. So here we go.
Yeah. So let's just get the
second there one. We go.
So have you used any AI to help with SEO and website tasks? So this could be something that might be involved in the new GEO, which is the generative engine optimization or generative search optimization, or you're using it with things like content writing. So you might be using something like copy.ai, or you might be just going into ChatGPT or Claude. So yeah, 2/3, yes, they are using some AI. That's great. And if you could possibly put in the chat the sort of AI you're using, that would be really helpful. It'd be nice to know what sort of products and SaaS products you're using at the moment. Okay, so I think what we'll do is we'll pass straight over to James, and he's going to share his screen. We're going to start by introducing secretagents.ai.
There we go.
I'll tell you if I can see your screen. I'm going to keep my camera on because I think we're going to be talking too much and it feels a bit weird when there's a voice just talking at you in the background. The other thing I'd say, guys, is that there is an arrow top right of the box if you want to make it a little bit bigger. Cool. So shall I introduce secret agents and then you do the demos? Is that a good
I think that works. And if you want me to go to other pages, just say I've already got the leaderboard up over here and stuff. So
excellent. So since January, I've been doing a course in India called the AI Generalist course. In fact, yesterday, if you haven't seen it on LinkedIn, I'd love you to post and share it. I shared my certificate of me actually getting the qualification after 8 months of every Saturday and Sunday afternoon, every weekend for pretty much 8 months, where we were learning all about AI. And one of our projects was to do a demo of a product that we wanted to develop. So I started to create something called an AI agent marketplace. And what James is doing is he's scrolling down the e-commerce like directory of the agents that we've built and some of the ones coming soon. But if you just go a little bit to the top, you can see that it's got some filters. You can filter by content. I can't actually read it. It's a bit small. I'll make my screen bigger. It can be by department. So it's any sort of white collar job within a department. So there's some AI for marketing, sort of operations, productivity. So the one that I use the most is actually the meeting notes generator, because I have so many meetings where I get the transcription. Now, altogether, there's we've divided them into different types. So we've got free agents, which you can use once a day. You can see you can do a search. If you do the one on SEO, that's quite useful. And what you notice, the big sign at the top says, no coding, no prompting, no hassle. And what we're going to do today is show you some of these examples. And James will also show you behind the scenes what's actually happening. Now, the easiest way to see this is actually not to use the marketplace, but is to go to the leaderboard, which is up in the middle. There are some other things on this site as well. There's some quizzes and calculators so you can test your knowledge. And there's also some demos of the voice agent, which we'll be talking about in the next couple of weeks as well. And I did a webinar on voice agents. So what we're going to do is I'm going to pass over to James now, and he's going to demo some of these tools. We started the leaderboard just a couple of weeks ago, so it's still very much in beta. So, as I said, you get one free use a day. If you go up to the packages first, though, James, sorry, you can see you can also sign up for 10 uses a day just by signing up there. If you go down a little bit further, you can sign up for free. And if you really like it, then you can subscribe after a month, and then you've got the pro package. If you go to the top, that's it. And then we've also got the VIP club, where you start to get some more bespoke agents which do a lot more. And then we've got the enterprise solutions. So if you work in a business and you want a white label package, or you want this for all your teams, we can help you as well. So over to you, James. I think if you start from the leaderboard, I'm going to go out of here. I think we're going to demo about 5 today. So should we start with something simple?
Yeah, well, we'll start with the keyword generator, right? Because people are here for SEO and how SEO kind of intersects. So this is a simple tool that we produced, which essentially will allow you to analyze an individual web page. So it could be a category page. It could be like an individual product page or a blog post on your website. And so obviously you just come over here and you click the try now button. That will then initiate the form at the bottom.
Can you go to full screen, please, James? I know you'll need to come out of it again in a minute, but
or like this.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, I might need to alt tab to other things just so you know to fill it in.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it just says a little bit about the agent and what it does. But essentially, how this particular one works and how most of the tools actually work is you start with a 2-step form. So the first step of the form is the contact details. And the reason it needs stuff like your email address and things like that is because after it's finished executing, usually it will send you the report by email as well. So that if you actually just close down this web page and you close it down afterwards, you don't lose the insights that you've generated. And I'm going to show you a bit behind the scenes how it works as well. But we'll start with the basics, right? We'll start with filling out the form. And I'm going to use my own email like this, and we submit this. And then we get some stuff here in terms of, you know, what type of information might we like to specify. So a general keyword topic, some sample keywords. So this isn't the only keywords that you're going to receive in the response. It's just to help it give a bit more kind of topical guidance, if that makes sense. But the first thing we need to do is to input a URL. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go into the project files to where I actually keep and retain a little notepad file, just so that I have some test data that I can fill out just quickly and easily. I might at some point port this all into, you know, like the Chrome autofill feature or something like that, which would probably be easier, but haven't done that yet. And so in this case, we're just going to look at a website called easylivingfurniture.ae, and they supply all different types of furniture. We're going to look at the tables category, hence we've got tables at the end there. Tables is the topic, obviously, and then some sample keywords I could put in. I might just add some more in here as well. Table, something like that. So just to give it just a little bit more focus. And then the keyword language and keyword region, these are very important because this isn't an AI tool that will just make up the search volumes. So the problem with lots of AI tools is obviously they can generate you lists and ideas of keywords, but they don't actually connect with databases that have all of the keyword information, like the search volumes and stuff. And so they try and pull all of that from their large language model, or even guess the search volumes and stuff. We actually connect to a specific API, so the AI will brainstorm the ideas, but then the API will then tell us what the statistics are. And because of how that API works, you need to specify that you're looking at English keywords in the United Kingdom in this case. So that's what we're going to do. And also, by the way, something interesting. So if we put an English site in up here, and we put English keywords in here, and we put French down in here, it's actually not going to return French keywords. What it will do is return statistics for French speaking individuals. So the stats will be French, but the keywords will be English. So just so you know. So what we're going to do is we're going to submit this now like this. And this might take a little while for it to come back with a response. So I think up here it says it may take 3 to 7 minutes to run. And oh, actually, this one came back really quickly. So that's really good. So it's so we'll go backwards in a minute, and I'll show you the interior of the project and how it actually works. But in this case, it generated around 24 keywords. It gives you a monthly volume, an average CPC. In this case, all of the keywords came back as high competition. And I have actually checked different pages, and I've had different results where sometimes it doesn't always come back as everything being 100. But just so you guys know, the data is from an API, and in that specific API, you know, I guess their perspective is that furniture in general in the UK is insanely competitive, which it is. So because we're looking at mostly furniture related keywords, and some of them are kind of like mid-tier terms, we didn't really go on a search for massively long tail keywords. Obviously the competition is quite high. And it gives you cost per click and bid range per individual keyword. And that data comes from a specific API as well, which is one that we're pulling everything back from. So, but if we go, so essentially we've used the front end of our website here, which is secret-agents.ai, right? You can see the logo on the top there. When you submit the form, it actually hands off to an entirely separate system, which I was referencing to you guys earlier. You know, I was mentioning about N8N as a platform and how it's kind of like similar to stuff like Zapier, or if you remember, if this then that from the past. But in addition to having nodes that are like, if I get an email from here, do this. If I, you know, and code nodes and stuff like that as well. You can also insert AI agent nodes, which will imbibe data in JSON format and reshape and rehandle it.
So don't show them this yet. Show them a couple more demos first, because
demos first. Okay,
yeah,
that's fine.
Because I think if you do a couple more demos, then they get the idea of what it looks like from the front end.
Okay,
and then we can then show them a couple of the how it works behind the scene.
Okay, so I want to, let's have a look here. I want to look at the SEO page checker. That's the next one that I want to show you.
And
guys.
also, do you notice there's a green gauge? So every time James is using it, it goes
It's
down.
going down. Yeah, we need to change the back end so that our own staff members get unlimited uses. But yeah, that's all super base stuff, isn't it? So we'll have to handle that at another point. But essentially, this is a tool. That's another thing. When I actually click on the description, it scrolls down, which I don't want it to do that because I might just want to copy it. So we might need to look at that. Anyway, this particular tool will analyze an input web page, and it will have a look at some. It will basically send off a scraper that will execute the JavaScript on the page. I think it uses a headless browser with a resolution of like 1920 by 1920, or it might be 1080 by 1080 or something like that. And it will have a really good look at the code, and it will see if there's any issues with the individual code of an individual web page. And it will also send queries off to PageSpeed API as well and have a look at some of the PageSpeed stuff. And I basically built this because, you know, when we're doing our own SEO audits, we use very advanced tools and platforms like Ahrefs, for example. But one of the issues you sometimes get there is that, you know, it will do like a big, massive crawl of your site, and it will say like, oh, I don't know, 21 pages are missing their H1. But it might not do a very good job of saying, oh, and by the way, one of those pages that's missing a H1 is actually your homepage, which is really important. So I just wanted to build something that would do a bit of a simpler one-page scan. Now, there are tools out there like this that already exist. There's SEO Site Checkup. There's one by SEO Ability. There's SiteChecker.pro. Right. But the issue I found with those tools is they were relying on a pre-programmed list of stuff that they were scanning for. Whereas with the AI, it can just look at the source code and it can pull out whatever it thinks is interesting, which is just another different way of doing it. Right. So I'm going to initiate this one now. And we've got our form that's appeared down here. So again, I'm just going to go in here.
We are going to auto-fill the form, aren't we? So once you've used it once, it will be a little bit easier.
So we'll make it so once you've used it, so if you're logged in as a logged in user, you can see I'm logged in up here. We'll make it so that if you used a tool before, it will just remember what you did last time, and then, you know, so you can relaunch things or you can just tweak things. In this case, it's very simple because the second page of the form is only asking for one single thing, right? And I want to use our own homepage of our website for a scan, because there were some issues with it recently, which I'm already aware of, and I want to know if they're resolved or if they still need to be resolved. So
I run it yesterday and got a score of 89.
Yeah, it gives a good score, but last time I looked at it, it said it was using 10 page titles instead of just one. So that will depend upon if the template's been amended yet. We're already aware of it, but yeah. So, and I actually checked the source code and it was actually true as well. So it wasn't hallucinating, it was real.
The interesting thing about some of these examples, I think we'll show you more with the blog one, is that it's just avoiding you needing to learn how to prompt. Because the trouble with ChatGPT and Claude, which we recommend Claude over ChatGPT, to be honest, because Claude's got a lot of additional features.
Especially for coding.
Yeah, exactly. Well, also for artifacts, I'm creating PowerPoints at the moment with it while we speak, and you can do projects and things. And I really like the way that Claude works. Is that it's sort of rubbish in, rubbish out. So if you, is it working? Sorry, James, you look like
it's working. It's just slow. This is just a slower tool. So I just thought I would just go and kind of show a little bit of the interior while it's running because it's a bit slow. So
okay, let's do that then. But what I was trying to say is particularly for some of the longer, more complicated ones, I think we'll show you that with the blog creator, because we've created the form to basically create a structured prompt, which then the AI uses.
Yeah, so in this case, this one does take a little bit longer to run, but essentially, like I was saying to you guys earlier, you know, you previously had tools like If This Then That or Zapier and stuff, and you can create these kind of flows like this, where you have a contact form, and then maybe you do some like bits of coding and stuff like that as well in the code nodes and stuff like that. And yeah, like web scrapers and stuff. But the advantage of N8N is that you can include these AI nodes. So obviously in this case, you know, in the form, you've put in a URL that you want to check. it will then go and actually scrape that page. It'll extract some SEO factors. It will then go and put that page to the Google PageSpeed Insights API. But then all of that data is fed to AI agent nodes in JSON format. So there's actually 2 AI agent nodes that get used in sequence. The first one has to essentially convert the data into a HTML report. And it has to use Gemini because Gemini is capable of receiving and imbibing loads of information. And if you put in a web page that is a really big, long web page, there's loads of data in the source code. And sometimes OpenAI's models, they just literally can't handle it. But the problem with Google's models like Gemini is that they don't necessarily word things very well and they're not that smart. So we basically condense the data using Gemini. And then after that, the HTML report that it has produced then gets passed to an OpenAI node, which will then essentially clean it up. And then if I go to the HTML node, this basically shows an example of the output. So the last time I ran it, again, it was the 89 score out of 100, and you can see it was pinned here. So this is all the stuff that you'll end up getting through in the response when it's basically finished running, if that makes sense, which I'm just going to check. No, it's still executing over there because it does take a while. But yeah, it's just also to kind of cover off what Anne was saying as well. You know, on the front end of our site, you just have to put in basic form information like a URL from a website or something like that. And we're actually in our NAN project, we're kind of handling most of the prompting for you. So for example, inside of the first AI agent node, which takes all of the JSON data and tries to convert it into a HTML report using Gemini, there's actually 2 separate prompts. There's a user prompt, which kind of maps all the data dynamically. So it takes the data from the JSON fields and it says, this is the page title character count. So the user message is all the mapping. And then the system message is then more kind of telling it exactly what to do, giving it examples of output and the CSS to use and stuff like that. And so the reason it's kind of important to show this off to you guys, if I just take the system message, which tells the AI actually what to do, look how long and complex this is. And this is actually not the output. This is actually just the prompt, right? That tells it what to do with the information that it receives. So when we're saying to you guys, you know, it's finally finished. It actually finished. So this was the response. This time it gave it a slightly lower score, 87 instead of 89. It might be because the page speed was performing slightly different on this day. In this case, it's found a number of different title tags were deployed, more than one. Last time I ran it, it said there were 10. So if we go back over here and look in here, you can see it said there were, 10 duplicate page titles. So it's coming out with similar stuff. The formatting will be very similar each time because we use a special node like a HTML and CSS templating node to make it look similar, even though the output from the AI might actually be kind of variable, right? But the thing is, if we go and actually have a look at our homepage over here, so I'm going to look in the source code and I'm going to look for the title. Oh, look at the top here. I don't know if you guys can read this because I'm on a big monitor, but at the top, see where I'm searching for title here, the number, it says 1 out of 14. So yes, this actually got that exactly right. And it has changed since last time. And the part that irritates me about this is that last time we had 10 title tags on the homepage and now we have 14. So it's actually got worse. But it's right. The tool is right. It's what it's saying is right. It's accurate. And the reason that a lot of you guys might think, AI is kind of a bit garbage, I suppose, is because you're probably not creating prompts in this level of detail like this. So what we're doing is we're essentially trying to create a marketplace of useful tools that are just a bit more contextually aware than standard developed, traditional code only rather than vibe coded AI tools, right? And you guys only have to fill in very simple form details, and all of the stuff that you put in will be dynamically passed into these gigantic prompts that we've kind of created in the first place that actually do a good job rather than a bad job, right? And that's really kind of the aim, isn't it, Anne? Is to make the advantages of this technology more accessible to other people, but to do it in a way where it actually works, because we have prompt enrichment and prompt engineering experience, which some of you guys, might be lacking. You might think,
the other reason it's important is because a good example of this is the meeting notes, right? So if we had a transcription from one of our many meetings, and sometimes we'll have a 2-hour pitch, and afterwards we've discussed such a lot of really useful information, but I went and stuck that in ChatGPT and asked it to write me some really good notes. What would happen? We'll go through this in detail in a minute. What would happen is that it would be limited by the amount of information I could upload. It might even turn around and say your file's too big, so I might have to go and minimize it, condense the PDF, and then or compress the PDF, and then it's also minimizes the amount of size of the file that it will produce for you. So actually, the level of detail is limited by the input and output size or the token size. And also it's limited by our ability to prompt properly. So what I then did was I created what's called a custom GPT, which is sort of like the precursor to this. And we've got sort of something like 60 of them. And custom GPT is like having a recipe where you have examples, and that was better, but it was still limited by the fact that it wasn't as good writing as Claude, for example, and it wasn't structured, but it also wasn't big enough for some of the big ones that I wanted. So that's when we went over to the API and built the agent, because with the API, depending on what API you use, you're able to bring back a lot more information, which is why some of these reports and things that James is showing is much more detailed. The other thing that we can do, which we'll go through in a minute, is we can also change the format. So if you want to maximize your screen, James, and go through actually what's in this one, I think that will be really useful.
Yeah. So in this case, it kind of starts off with a bit of an executive summary, which kind of breaks things down into a summary of the issues as per the different detail areas in the report. It will have a look at the content as well, and give you a very tiny preview of content. It will look at the title tags, which, as we've just seen, unfortunately, there's 14 title tags deployed on the homepage instead of 1, which is a bit irritating, but we'll look.
Is that an H1 tag or a title tag?
No, actual title tag. So,
that's something to do with the back end of WordPress,
yeah,
then, isn't it?
It will, or it'll just be the theme files. It'll be something like if we log into the theme files or something, or it will be a module that we've created that repeats multiple times inside of the page for some reason was given a title tag when it actually shouldn't have been. There's, it can be any number of things, but yeah.
And while you're going down there, if anybody would like us to test their site, if you could put your URL in,
there's the actual.
Especially if you've been doing lots and lots of SEO, we'd like somebody that's got a reasonably established site where you've done a lot of SEO, so we can just sort of see how well you're doing.
Yeah, keep in mind that this is a tool that scans just one page, not the entire site. But it's very useful for detail on individual pages. So.
And of course, it's not the only tool we use, isn't it? But what we didn't want to do was basically give all of our.
It's built for a specific purpose. So at the level of SEO that we work at, it will never entirely replace something like Screaming Frog or Ahrefs. But a lot of our users might just want simple insights for individual pages, and also sometimes we want that as well. So it was useful for us to build internally and externally for other people as well.
And actually, that's a really good point, because one of the reasons that we were building this was because we also wanted one place where all our staff could go and find all of the agents that we built, because some of them were being built in Claude, some of them were being built in custom GPTs, some of them were in notebook LMs.
Which is an advantage because due to the nature of how we produce the website, there have been one or two what I would call teething issues between the front end and the back end database, and just occasionally it goes weird and there's an error or something. And so the advantage of having you guys use this and also our own staff using it from the same front end in the same place is that if our own staff notice an error or an issue with any of the tools or anything, they should be able to highlight it to us, which means that we should theoretically be able to be more reactive, if that makes sense. So or proactive before other people notice. So although I'm sure people will notice little issues here and there. So,
well, we want you to, don't we? We want some debugging, and bug reports and things like that.
That's it. So we've got Core Web Vitals performance. That was the stuff that got pulled in from the Core Web Vitals API from Google, so the URL that you guys put in the form, or that we put in the form earlier in our example, was handed off to Scraping Bee to fetch the PostScript execution code of the website, but it was also separately sent to to Google page speed API as well, which pulled back some core web vitals data and stuff. And then at the end, it just kind of basically consolidates stuff. So it gives you a list of the issues, and then it tries to prioritize like a few of the issues in isolation without necessarily doing all of them at once. So yeah, it's funny because Anne has used the platform to essentially build lots of tools that help to produce and also summarize content. But I'm now finding that even in the interior of technical tools that I'm building, it's also doing a lot of prioritization and summarization as well. So it kind of stitches back together if you think about it thematically.
So we've not had any volunteers. Now, one of you guys must want to be curious to see how well your website's doing. So please, can somebody volunteer a
homepage, please?
A homepage.
Or actually, any page. It doesn't have to be a homepage. It could be a category page. Probably not a blog feed, but if you had an individual blog post, that could also work.
So while we're doing that, why don't we do the blog one? Because I think the blog one is an interesting one because it's got both a PDF reader and a scraping tool. So
yes, we'll go with this one. This one, I'm going to need my little folder. So, and this is one that you originally built. So it's in here, I think. So, yeah.
Yeah, I've also played around with it recently as well. So
ta-da,
I did have a very embarrassing situation the other day where I did a demo and I was doing it in a hurry and I didn't put enough information in. And then it completely hallucinated because I didn't give it enough detail for it to create content.
One thing I also want to talk to Paul about is how it handles simultaneous executions. Because it's, what we don't want is for two people to execute it at the same time and it to get in a muddle with what response should go where.
No, I
don't think it's doing that. I'm pretty sure it's not doing that, but I don't know. So anyway, blog content writer is used to produce blog posts for your website, and it's got problem loading form. It's broken again. So that happens. That is a super base error again, by the way.
Oh, is it?
So that error is the super base error. I could go and fix it now. Why don't we look at the article writer instead? So,
okay, good.
Because they're very similar in terms of.
Hopefully the article writer's not broken.
I think I fixed it the other day, and I think it had the same issue. So. Yeah, so this one's working. And by the way, the article writer had exactly the same issue the other day. So I think it's a case of when we do additional vibe coding on the site, sometimes it incorrect stuff that we've manually corrected.
Yeah, I mean, this is quite high maintenance stuff because the website's evolving all the time because I vibe coded this website. But secondly, N8N is being constantly updated. And sometimes when it's updated, we have to correct it behind the scenes.
Yeah,
so we're constantly monitoring it, which is why, if you are using it and you spot anything, just let us know and we'll fix it in about 10 minutes.
And we are also transitioning it from what was initially fully vibe coded to like a stable project. So we have an actual web developer that we're working with and stuff. So it's all being transitioned. So in this case, let's put my email in. These two do quite similar things. So we can do this one.
Can you go it up again? So I think for this one, you definitely need to go into the corner and expand the screen so you can see the choices on the screen, because it's the best way of you understanding the concept of this is this type of form where we've got something. So James has just got some stuff behind the scene to make it easier to fill this in.
It's actually for the blog writer, not for the article writer, but it should be relatively similar, shouldn't it? So
just explain what these drop downs are doing then.
James. So this is all stuff. So I showed you guys with my SEO one-page scanner how the stuff that you were putting into the form was being dynamically inserted into AI prompts. And in that case, it was really simple because it was just taking the URL that you wanted to scan and some of the field information and popping that in. And in this case, it's a bit more in depth. So there will be places in the prompt where the AI is told create a post with this title. Hence, the title that you put in the form is required. And this is basically all of the extra stuff that gets dynamically injected into our large enriched prompts so that the tool does the thing that it's supposed to do, isn't it?
Yep, absolutely.
So article type, you've got all different types of article types. You could do a technical deep dive, industry analysis. I actually do want industry analysis for this because this one, looking at how AI is transforming healthcare in 2025, This should be leading into 2026, not 2025 leading into 2025. That doesn't make any sense. And healthcare is an industry, right? And we're looking at the impact of a technology on an industry. So that's what I want to do. And I want it to be a longer article. The target audience, we're going to go with technical healthcare professionals or something like that. You could probably think of something better. If you are actually working in the healthcare industry, you might think of something better than that, like a job title of someone who might be interested or something like that. Content depth, I want this to be, I don't want it to be advanced or expert because it might be too complicated for people to understand. But beginner friendly might not contain enough detail. So I'm going to go with the intermediate. Writing perspective, because it's going to go on our own blog, then I'm going to say first person.
And if you were doing that on your own blog, somewhere in here, you've got to indicate that this is Annika's opinion, or Annika can provide the service, or whatever your company name is. Yeah. And I think you can even add your brand guidelines. And interestingly, somebody suggested, which I haven't told you, James, is auto to write the persona of the author. So
by the way, I'm aware I've stopped sharing. I just wanted to double check whether when I upload the file, what folder it's going to, which is just going to take me 2 seconds, not long.
Okay, so yeah, so another idea was that you can even, particularly if you are, you know, a technical expert, or if you've got a fun site or an educational site, or you're a social blogger or something like that, you know, you might want to describe who your target audience is, but you might want to describe who the personality and the persona of the writer as well, which I thought was a really interesting addition to this when we were demoing it to somebody.
Okay, so just coming back to this for a second. So I'm going to, the other thing I'm going to do is choose a supporting file to upload as well. And that's going to be in a different one because it's someone else's thing I was working on. And we're going to find this sample PDF. Now, to produce that, I literally just went to another news site and who had written a similar kind of post. And I decided to just take that as like supporting material to upload.
Yeah, and with the blog writer, you can actually put that URL in there because we've now got the ability to scrape, but I don't think we've done this with the article one yet, so we need to upgrade this.
So I'm not going to put the URL in. I will put some of the text in from that PDF, which I actually had in my notepad file. So,
but that supporting material could be more about your brand guidelines as well, couldn't it? You know, it doesn't have to be content.
I mean, I guess we could put the URL in as well. It doesn't really do any harm to use everything, does it? So. Research sources, I don't know what the source was, I can't remember, so I'm not going to do that. So some of the keywords, we'll just put these in for now, comma separated. So AI and healthcare, AI transforms healthcare, or something like that. At this point, I'm just guessing keywords that might be useful, but you could have
used the keyword tool, couldn't you?
Yeah, you could have used the keyword tool in advance, or you could have done your own. You could even have some other keyword research already on hand from something like SEMrush or something, right? So that's fine. Tone and style, well, it's going to go, it's about industry changes and stuff. So I'm going to go with professional and formal. I think that's going to be, because it's going to end up on in this hypothetical scenario, it's going to end up on a company or like a healthcare organization, a healthcare body's blog or news section or something like that. I think for this, we're going to go with educate and inform because it's really more of an educational piece. Or it's kind of opinion and speculation as well. I might add that in there, like thought leadership. Actually, yeah, that would kind of make more sense because it's about how it's going to transform healthcare in the future. Let's go with that. Okay. So publication, intent, industry publication, I think we're going to put. And in this, you can just put stuff like UK English, but this
gets English
or UL English, yeah. But this does get fed into an AI, right?
Yeah.
So if you wanted to, you could theoretically be more specific, and you could add something like Midlands dialect, right?
Don't do that.
Don't do that. Okay, but you can do that. You can. It will listen to it.
And I think the additional instructions is where you would say, write this from the perspective of Annika AI being experts or something like that. You could do something like that.
Yeah, in this case, I'm just going to leave it because I think we've got full enough information as it is. I want to see how it just handles it generally. So what we're going to do is we're just going to generate this, and it's working because it hasn't crashed, so that's good. It hasn't thrown an error code. And as I say all the time, this orange thing is spiraling round, the little white circle, sorry, spiraling round. That means it's offloaded to a project on NAN, and that means it's doing its thing. So if we go back in here and we go to overview, and we're actually running the article one, aren't we? Not the blog one. So
yeah.
So if we go in here, this is what.
I think once it's finished, what you can do is, you know, where you do your test and you go from one node to another. Let's show them that. Well.
Yeah. But in this case, where we got up to is the second form page, put all the information in it, then began to start executing. It's got some. So just so you guys know, we don't entirely completely. So we've got our AI nodes, which are all AI powered, and they include really cool, awesome, structured, dynamic prompts and stuff. But we do also use JavaScript and code nodes as well. Because sometimes just in terms of reformatting and reshaping the data before it reaches an AI, it's actually cheaper and faster and more cost efficient to use some snippets of JavaScript. So what we've got going on here is we've got connected platforms, and we've got connected blocks of coding, and we've got template files, and we've got connected AI nodes. And
I just want to stop you there, James, because I think you could be scaring the pants off of people. James can do some coding. I and Darren haven't got a bloody clue. I can sort of read it. I can sort of read HTML.
Yeah.
If we get stuck, we go to Claude, and Claude or ChatGPT helps us. Yeah. We say, look, we've got an error here. We can't work out what we've done. It's a JSON syntax error.
But the point is we're doing all this stuff so that our users don't have to.
Yeah, right? But I mean, what I'm saying is even if you're interested in this stuff and you want to become an AI engineer, you can become an AI engineer and learn how to use things like N8N without having to be a coder.
And indeed, you can even deploy actual coding blocks without actually being a coder, because you can separately go and vibe code the code needed for the code block on something like Claude, right? So
exactly.
Yeah.
Can you just explain what happens when it gets the HTML and you've got two agents there, which I know we use quite a lot, but can you explain why we got two agents?
So it's the same thing as I explained before, right? It's just that sometimes it helps the AI to have it separated out into two nodes, one where it will create a bunch of content, and then another separate node that will try and format it into something like HTML, where it will then be ready to be kind of templated using our HTML1 template node down here, which applies a load of CSS and stuff. So sometimes what we were doing previously, right, is we were attempting to use one single AI node on its own to both create the content and also format it into something like HTML, right? But the issue that we had there is sometimes it would fall over because there would be too much stuff for it to do. And also the other thing is that we were then basically just creating only the content over here and then directly connecting it to a HTML node, which was templating all the HTML, saying the H1 should be exactly this and stuff like that. But it almost became too templated, because part of the power of AI is that it can generate things slightly different in slightly more useful ways each time. And so ultimately what we ended up using the HTML template node for is there are bits of HTML in here still, and it does do bits of HTML templating. But really, we should rename this CSS templating node, because it includes way more CSS than it includes HTML.
And that's just the styling, isn't it, for people?
And that's the styling, and that's so that it comes out, because as we've said, the AI might generate slightly different looking stuff with the H1 tags with slightly different classes and whatever each time, but we want it to look similar and have a similar look and feel in the output. And that's what the HTML template node does, which is the one that's just down here. That's this box.
Okay. So has that built it yet?
No, it's not fallen over. It's just taking time.
So you also mentioned about the fact that we get it in our emails. So I don't know whether you've run a couple already this morning.
I have in the past. Yeah. Let me just double, because this one, obviously it's building quite a complex article and stuff like that. The execution hasn't finished yet. Refresh to see the latest status. So yeah, it's still going. But anyway, if we go into the part where it sends an email, then it will say your professional article is ready. So if I theoretically search my email inbox for, there we go. Oh, I already did this one before. That's pretty good, isn't it? Because now we can, this is the example that I usually do, right? So this is the type of output that you would receive. So over here on the, it's done it now. Now that I've actually gone to my email and searched for it, it's actually done it. So there you go. So it actually did return in the end. So here it is on the front end, and you can see all of that HTML nice styling that was generated in N8N is then returned on the front
So
end.
has that hallucinated?
Let's have a look here.
Because it doesn't look like it's about healthcare.
It does actually keep coming back with this specific one, the future of work in the UK. I think there's a problem that we need to speak to Paul about with some of the long ones that generate content.
Maybe what's happening,
because I think it uses some previously executed or pin data. I think something's got stuck that needs clearing out of a cache.
But at least it shows you what it looks like. Yeah, I think there's a technical issue here.
I don't think it's in N8N, because I've gone through both of the projects in N8N and they use the right references and they look at the right data.
So have a look at have a look at the HTML within the N8N workflow that we've just run, and let's see if this is a landing.
Okay. Yeah, what we need to do is we need to work out where it starts talking about. So look, future of work in the UK. So the AI node had started talking about that. So let's go back to the previous one, right? This one, future of work in UK, it started talking about it during that execution. So, but the thing is, right, if you look in here, right, you can see the user message, right? You can see all the data that it's mapping, right? And if we go down in here, let's have a look. Language and culture, localization, all this stuff.
Can you maximize? Oh no, you can't maximize that, can you?
Not the bottom box, no. Mm-hmm. Some of this stuff looks like it's broken again as well. This is something that we might need to.
Oh look, no content available. So it
didn't like the PDF.
Yeah.
But is that could be a problem with the actual extractor node, right? Error, right? Binary data PDF doesn't exist, right? Okay, so the call. So what's happened here is the call in the AI agent prompt is correct, but for some reason the PDF extraction node has busted up, and the reason that doesn't affect my projects is because when I was building my projects, I used parts of this template, but I noticed certain parts weren't working and I rebuilt it. So we now need to go back and I need to use my versions and fix these.
So go back to a version where it has worked.
This is from email, right? And you can see that we did successfully process that particular post with all of that stuff that we put in, right? Yeah. So introduction basically all that needs to happen is I need to go in here. I just need to make some amendments to this node over here. It will start working again. But you can see, so if I just zoom in a bit here, so the dawn of a new professional era, unstoppable it's done it again.
Yeah.
Okay. It's made it work related. So that's something that, so the only two projects that it's affecting for some reason are the blog writer and the article writer.
So we'll get those fixed for you guys. I mean, you get free uses anyway, but
and also it hasn't actually always been a problem. It's actually in the last week or two it's kind of cropped up, isn't it? So
yeah, it's working fine until I did my demo.
Yeah, and so what we also have to contend with as well is sometimes N8N, the actual platform, they will actually do an update and then we'll press yes, we want that update, and then they'll say, it completely changes the way that this particular node works, and so we then find that things kind of pop out and we need to go back in and patch
so we were going to show them there was one others what we wanted to show, wasn't there? What about your scraping URL for getting story ideas and news? Is that one working?
You mean the news scraper, don't you?
Or you could do the image one if you wanted. Yeah, that one.
News and content scraper. Yeah. So this one's really quite simple. So if we do this one, so I'm just going to put so the idea of this is that you put a web page, like a news feed from a website or an RSS feed or something like that in
search engine land, maybe.
Yeah, well, so some of them it can do, some of them it sometimes gets blocked because, as you can imagine, there's lots of places that don't want you to scrape their RSS feeds, and we somewhat got around that by deploying scraping using scraping bee and Tavily and stuff like that, so it offloads to another different network rather than actually scraping from our own individual server. But if I look at my projects down here, it would be free news scraper. So this is the stuff that I want to put in. So I'll look at TechCrunch because that's what I did last time. So James, here we go. So it gives some instructions here. It says, it's really best you can supply a single URL if you want to, but you can use RSS feeds. And if you don't know how to find RSS feeds, it also links you to this handy article that tells you how to find RSS feeds on a website. I think it also gave a link at some point as well to a database where you could just search for different
but it was a
RSS
paid for database, which is why we changed it.
Oh, is that why we changed? Oh, okay, fine. So that's fine. So in this case, we're going to use the TechCrunch feed, and we're going to look at the last 7 days. And the preferred topics are going to be.
Now you've got there's no space. You've got technology spelt wrong there.
Yeah, I thought so. There you go.
You don't have a space between. Yeah, I was going to say
you can do. I don't think the AI particularly cares. Because in the prompt, it's told that the data is going to be comma separated, and these are 2 different conventions of comma separated, but they're both comma separated. Okay. So I'm pretty sure that the AI doesn't care about that at all.
So let's hit the go on this then, and then you can show them while we're waiting for that, you can show them the NAN behind the scenes of what we've built.
Yeah. So if we go back to over here, and we're looking at. I think this one counts as being my own project. So it would be this one here, right?
Yeah.
So this is one that's still based on Tavily. So could maybe do with being updated to Scraping Bee at some point, possibly. But yeah, so in this case, again, it's really very similar to what we've been doing previously. There was a first form where you would input your contact details, a second form where you would put the RSS feed URL in. It then does some technical stuff down here, which is basically just for our own internal tracking and workflow processing and stuff like that. And then over here, it would then essentially, you'd see it would go to TechCrunch. And you would begin to see it outputting the TechCrunch newsfeed in JSON format. And occasionally, because this one is programmed with Tavily, it might explore 1 or 2 additional pages. It might not, depending on the settings that have been set up and stuff as well.
First agent, you missed one.
Nope, that was that one.
Oh, okay, sorry.
So it's an agent that does that, not a code node. So yeah, it's an agent handling that. So
just show what that's doing then.
Yeah, so literally so if we go over here, you've got the data mapping at the top, and there's just loads of information in here, which basically tells it, you've intaken a chunk of information from an RSS feed. There's another version of this tool that does 6 RSS feeds at once and then blends all the news together instead of just doing 1 RSS feed. But then you've got the system message down here as well, which is another one of the ones that they won't let you expand at the moment. But actually, I don't want that in that. Put it over here. So you can see, again, there's another quite large prompt. Create output for 20 to 30 separate posts. Use certain styling in terms of the CSS. But the data should also be produced as JSON and should conform to a certain format. So there should be a title for each post, a date, a URL, and a description and stuff like that.
We're just coming up to 10, so we probably need to see whether this has worked.
It's still executing.
So just explain in overview what's happening with the second agent and the
yeah. So the second agent is doing it's just this very similar structure that we operate, where the first agent is basically receiving and big RSS feed of lots of news posts, and it's reformatting it into a JSON array that's easier for AI to understand. And then the second agent is then again converting it into a HTML report, which will again be retrieved on the front end over here. It's just come back, by the way, so that's good.
Excellent.
And it tells you what the source was, the date range, the topic filter, stuff like that. And then what it will do is give an aggregate news summary at the top. So it will kind of aggregate all of the news and tell you generally what's happening. And then there's all of the individual posts it will list, and you can basically...
And how many does it list, James?
It's variable because it's AI. right? So, but it tends to do anywhere between, and also that also depends upon the RSS feed that you put in and the filtering that you apply. So I put in just TechCrunch's general feed, and it has come back with roughly about 20 news items. But also we decided that we wanted to topically filter it to stuff that was more about search and Google and AI. So it may have returned more than that had we not applied that filter, if that makes sense. So it is variable, right? But yeah, you can see it then goes on to list all of the individual posts. You can click on those links. It will then take you to the post so you can read it more in detail if you want to do stuff like that as well. But yeah, just like bunches of useful kind of like information and stuff. All of these are from TechCrunch, because with the free version of this tool, it will only take one page or one RSS feed. The VIP version of the tool that we're building allows you to put in like 6 RSS feeds, and then it will blend all the news together from all of the different RSS feeds and kind of sort it and say what it thinks is more important and stuff like that as well. But yeah, there's an example of another one, I guess. So
Okay, so I'm going to just share my screen.
I'll stop sharing mine, shall I?
Yeah, just a second.
Yeah, okay.
So I'm just going to give you a QR code so you can. If you want to also put this in the chat, James, that would be good.
What do you want me to put in? The membership.
secret-agents.ai membership. So if you are interested in signing up for a free plan, you just go over to the membership page and you can get 10 uses a day for free. We are really looking for lots of people to test this, so you can see obviously, as we're still testing, you know, we it was warts and all, because you know we showed you there were sort of 2 little bugs that we got today, but most of the time it's working fine. It's just those particular blog article ones that should be a bit problematic, but there's lots of useful stuff there. You can go and help yourself, and I think that's it for today. Let me just stop sharing my screen. So just like to, if any of you'd like to just sort of thank James for his presentation today, give us a little bit of a review, that would be amazing. So this is the Google review. A lot of people find Google a bit of a pain to review because you have to be logged in. So if you don't like Google, I'll just bring up the reviews.ai, which is this one. Excellent. Well, hopefully you found that useful. Go and play. We wanted to show you how AI and SEO and content were intersecting. In a way, what we're trying to do is we are trying to show you behind the scenes of what you need to know if you want to build this stuff yourself. But we're also trying to show you that actually there's tools out there where you don't need to learn the detail. You can just take advantage of the tools.
We have a question, by the way, from Tanya just before we all run off.
Okay.
And Tanya says, it sounds great, but wasn't clear if the free plan is free and then paid thereafter, or if it's like free.
So you get 1 free use a day, whatever you do. The free plan is probably going to be more than a month. We think it will be it would normally be a month, and then you can upgrade to the pro plan. But what we'll do is we'll have a date after which it goes live. So at the moment we're expecting it to if you sign up for a free plan now, you'll probably get 5 to 6 weeks rather than just 4, and then it'll default down to 4 weeks. But you don't have to put your credit card in at the moment, or your card details, and you get 10 uses a day.
Yeah, so at the moment it's not paid thereafter, but we might change that maybe.
Yeah. Then after once we've actually completely launched it, then it will go to 4 weeks, and then automatic upgrade if that's what you want. Thank you, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed that and found it useful. If you think there's anything, do local SEO need to specify location of town for this SEO report? Does Scraping Bee allow you to go down to town level?
I don't know. It'd have to be coded in a very certain, very specific way, and it'd probably have to be a massive project where it went to a site and then it semantically found if there were local pages. And
yeah, I think the problem with local SEO data is it tends to be quite low volume. So what we tend to do when we're doing an SEO project is we'll find the high value phrases, and then we'll concatenate them
like
to add the location in them. So that
for
might be.
my SEO page checker tool that I've already built, if you are operating local SEO and you have a page on your website which is relevant to a specific town, you could point the tool at that page. There's nothing stopping you doing that. And also that goes for the keyword generator tool as well. There's also nothing stopping you pointing a town service provision level page at my keyword tool. So you could do that if you wanted to. But at the moment, we don't have tools that are specific to local SEO. So
Excellent. Okay, thanks, guys. See you all next week. Bye. Bye-bye.
bye.
Thanks, James.